Welcome to another episode of GEQ Speaks, your go-to platform for insightful conversations, captivating stories, and thought-provoking discussions. GEQ is a series of experiences, and we're just making sense of that as we go along. That is what we're doing here, one conversation at a time. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into our episode.
Okay.
How are you guys doing?
Good. I feel like I've climbed a very steep hill, and now I'm at the top, and it's just downhill from there.
No, don't say that.
It's only up from here.
Okay, we need to welcome everyone. Hello, everyone. This is the SCC Seniors podcast, and I'm so happy today to have people from each major. So we'll go around the table and introduce ourselves. I'll go first. My name is Maytha Al-Shrame, and I'm a IPOL major, and I've done a econ minor and a certificate in Arab and Regional Studies.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm Natali Fanik. I'm an international history major, concentration in liberation struggles, and I also did certificate of Arab Regional Studies.
Nice.
I could go next. My name is John Carlos Burog. I'm a culture and politics major. I am pursuing a certificate in American Studies, minoring in French and Francophone cultures, and my CULP concentration is on religion, identity, and migration.
Nice.
My name is Zahra Saboorzadeh. I'm majoring in international economics with a minor in government and a certificate in media and politics that focuses on Iranian women.
That's nice.
Ooh.
So, we've had, we're batch of 2025, and we've had a lovely 4 years in GUQ, and we're a lucky batch because we came in after COVID was over, so we've only had hybrid learning for around 2 weeks in our freshman year, and then we luckily got to have a full 4 years on campus. And we've experienced the Georgetown 20th anniversary, and we're also going to be graduating QF 30th anniversary. So I think we're a very special batch.
And we have the
1,000.
And the 1,000 student, and we've experienced the FIFA World Cup on campus. So yeah, I think overall we're a very, very lucky batch. Who wants to start with the questions that they got for their majors? John?
Yeah. It's an interesting
Put him on
question.
the
So,
spot.
on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful are classes at GUQ?
Yeah.
And I talk to people and they say, "Oh, easy A classes are this and that and so on." But in my own experience, I think classes will really challenge you at GUQ if you take them like really seriously. On a scale of 1 to 10, I don't know. I guess they will all stress you out. So I guess a 10 if you take your studies seriously, of course. But classes are designed that way to challenge you and to invest in your success, basically, right?
That's true.
And I'd encourage everyone to lean into it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I feel like there is no point of wanting to attend a university and just expecting everything to be handed to you. You do have to challenge yourself academically in order to even be happy with the output that you're putting in. And also like the results of your classes and even the research projects that we do during classes, like they help you in the outside world. You can use them in your CVs, you can talk about them on interviews. Personally, I've really enjoyed my research projects for courses I've done with quantitative methods or even scopes. Like they're really research heavy, data heavy, like data analysis. And those are like skills that you can only obtain if you put in effort. So you can't just go in expecting an easy.
I mean, I could go on. Okay,
Yeah.
so this one might apply to CULP and IHIST. I'm not sure for the other majors. When did you decide what your concentration topic is about, earlier or later in your studies? So for me, I chose it, I believe, in the second semester of my sophomore year.
Yeah.
So we declare our majors at that point, and then we also declare like a concentration with it. It took a while because I wanted to truly encapsulate what I truly wanted to study and to build my major. And I settled on religion, identity, and migration because I felt like I really enjoyed taking classes with Professor Patrick Claude.
That's nice.
When it came to theology. And I was very much interested on what people are and what we are and how we identify with ourselves. So yeah, Natali? Yeah.
For me, so I'm an international history major. My concentration is actually like decolonization and liberation struggles. The IHIST chair actually recommended for it to be like broader so that you can take as many classes and it would still fit within the concentration. Initially, I wanted to do something in art history, but due to at my time, there wasn't a lot of classes in art history. So I chose the second option. Which is still, I really liked it after taking Middle East 1 and Middle East 2 with Professor Aliyan and Professor Sabeti. I think just looking at the region and seeing like all the liberation movements, I think that that's where I really want to take my studies in the future.
That's nice.
That's nice.
I have a question that asks, from a level of 1 to 10, how easy is IECO and why? Now, from a level of 1 to 10, how challenging is IECO and why? Investment banking versus consulting.
Those are your only two job options.
I don't know what that means.
That's a big question.
I'm unemployed, but...
Yeah.
So I would say IECO, I've taken it both in Doha and DC, and I think any IECO student can say that DC is much, much harder because you're in a classroom with 100 or more students. The professor doesn't focus on you one-on-one. If you don't understand something, you go to TAs, and TAs there are mostly like graduate students who are also studying and trying to teach you at the same time, so they don't have much time. So
That's true.
it depends on where. I would say in DC, honestly, it was a 10. I know everyone struggled there a lot, and I know a lot of students from our batch changed their majors when we came back from DC because of how rough it was. But in Doha, I really feel like because we have the advantage that the classes are small, the professor can really focus on you, and if you don't understand something, office hours are like that. You can just go anytime you want, and they're very accommodating. Personally, I would say IECO for me was challenging at first because I didn't know that I need to prioritize more time and allocate a lot of my time towards it as much as it needed. I thought that it's just something simple, quick, it's like high school. It really, really wasn't. But when I finally learned how to manage my time and prioritize my studies over, for example, going out with friends or events, it definitely becomes easier. You can definitely use the resources that Georgetown has, like OAS, and teach yourself the major, and focusing in class, of course, and attending helps a lot. But
that's true.
But overall, I wouldn't say it's easy, and I wouldn't say it's super challenging. If you manage your time, it's manageable.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I just wanted to add on small classroom sizes. Also, for the IHIST major, it is a smaller major, so I feel like we get much more. We have the mentor system. I'm not sure any other major has that. So my mentor is Professor Ann Pratt. And we do check-ins, and sometimes we do lunches, all the whole history department together.
That's lovely.
So the IHIS's
students.
The IHIS's relationship with the professors, I think, is closer. Yeah,
that's really nice. Yeah, and it's true. I think even for IPOL, the higher level courses, you would see a decrease in the number of students, and the professor-student ratio gets smaller. And even then, we can start to have much more topics of conversation within class, and we could go even beyond the syllabus because, we do have time, and we can make more conversations with each other. So that's really nice, honestly.
I agree.
Yeah.
So, of course, the other question is, how many jobs are lining up? What's one thing you wish you knew before picking IECO? Jobs, well, I haven't applied, so
Yeah.
maybe another person should be answering this.
TBD.
Yeah, but just from the students I've talked to, I do think that I can't speak on the other majors, but I know that IECO students are getting good jobs with PwC, consultants, with BCG. So if that's like what you're looking for, as long as you have a good GPA, a good CV, because one without the other is kind of useless, I think you're gonna have a good job secured before graduation. What's one thing I wish I knew before picking IECO? I wish I knew how much time I would definitely spend studying over going out and having fun, because I thought that I could balance both, but you have to be realistic. You're in college. It's not as easy to just be like, okay, well, I have a midterm tomorrow. I'm just gonna go out tonight and then like grind last minute or cram everything. Yeah, it's not a paper. It's not just a simple quiz. And like IECO is very, very challenging and very demanding if you do not prioritize it. If you just treat it like very casual, like freshman course, like if you're thinking principles of macroeconomics or microeconomics, it's not like that at all, because as the years go by, it gets tougher. So that's what I wish I knew, because yeah, I was definitely doing the opposite. I was prioritizing going out rather than studying, and then I learned the hard way in my junior year when my GPA had really
That's
dropped.
true.
I think it would be interesting to see what's like one thing each major would have wanted to know before picking that major. If you have something in mind, if not.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, honestly.
Yeah. You know, before I decided I wanted to be a CULP, you know, I was originally wanting to become an IPOL major. And then
I had the opposite, you know. I was going to be a CULP, but then I was like, no, IPOL.
So every sophomore year, I think sophomores have to attend like an orientation with all the academic deans, and basically I think it's called the major declaration session, right? And everyone introduces their majors, like a professor is brought in and everyone introduces their majors, and these are the deadlines, this is what you would do, these are the expectations, the requirements for the major, and so on. I swear I changed my major on the spot because as I saw like the IPOL requirements and I thought it was too rigid for me. I really wanted to explore my interests even further. And this is the reason why I chose CULP, right? And I kind of wish that I truly like leaned into that, like even perhaps at an earlier stage, simply because that would have allowed me to maybe plan things just a bit better. But yeah, pretty much.
One thing I wish I did differently about my major is, I guess, being more specific in my concentration, because for history, you need a concentration that actually helps you with like your future studies, like something specific, something about a region. So after a few years, I did decide on like the Middle East, but when I first started, it was kind of all over the place. So I think one thing I would like pick an interest and go deeper with it.
Yeah, that's true. Personally, I'm glad I had a relative in my family who was, she's an alumni now. And like a good piece of advice that she gave me was that if you're going to be an IPOL student, then it's really helpful to take history classes that would interest you, so that when you later take your IPOL electives, you would have background knowledge on all like the politics that's happening in the Middle East. You would like contextualize the region much more, rather than like taking like a history of China and then going on to do like Gulf politics, which is, it's still nice in my opinion. I mean, I have done history of China too, but I think doing Middle East 1 and 2 was definitely much more helpful for later IPOL studies. So I wasn't learning the information like first time, like I had some knowledge about it, and so I could enrich myself much further.
So you're saying history classes are useful?
Yeah. That's the main question of today.
So
Should we go on to your last question?
Yeah, I can do it. The most common question, what are the job opportunities? I would definitely say if you're going into IECO because of job opportunities, because I know a lot of students end up going like, well, IECO students have more job opportunities. It's not a good motivator to pick that as a major. And I'm not saying this to discourage you from picking it if that's your goal, but you've got to be realistic, because I went in with that mindset, oh, I'm here for the job opportunities, and I'm not going to lie, I spent a lot of my time miserable, rethinking my major, and I know a lot of people in our batch also felt the same way. That's why many of them are doing 2 minors, or they're doing a minor and a certificate, because all of us went in with, well, if I have IECO on my degree, I'll have better jobs or a higher paying job. But I don't think that's relatively true, because I have a friend who graduated last year, CULP, and she's working at SNUNU, and she has a higher position than my friend with IECO, who's also working at SNUNU. So it just depends on how you present yourself and your CV. You can be an IPOL major, but then you can do an internship in economics and stuff. I would say it's better to go into IECO if you have a passion for it, because I think out of the 4 majors, in my opinion, it's the most demanding and it's the most tiring, because it's just a lot of math. It feels borderline STEM than humanities or social sciences, which is what Georgetown is known for.
Yeah, that's interesting. If you didn't have that mindset, what major would you have chosen?
IPOL, no doubt. No doubt. Yeah.
I feel personally, doing an IPOL major, sets you to, opens doors for, so many different opportunities. And I've done an econ minor, and I can truly say, as Zahra mentioned, econ courses are genuinely intensive, and they do require so much more dedicated effort. But yeah, having minors does open up more opportunities to you. You can see a lot more job titles or job descriptions that would fit you more. But more than a major, I feel the stuff you achieve, or the stuff you do around campus, for example, getting a job, or joining programs like the Women's Diplomat for a Day.
Extracurriculars.
Extracurriculars, joining clubs. Joining, the courses that give you an opportunity to travel, the change makers, zones, bridging capitals. Those courses give you a lot more experience, and even the negotiation simulation course. That's a lot more experience than just doing a major in something, because you have the rest of your CV to fill out, and just your major and GPA, it's 1 line, but then there's the rest of the page.
I told my professors one day that, professor, I want to become an academic, and he told me, you better have a thick skin, because you're gonna get rejected. And I told him, oh, well, that's what we do at Georgetown. I feel like I'm always rejected at Georgetown. And it really does prepare you, I talk to people in our batch, and they always say, I have applied to 10 job positions, and I didn't even get into a single one.
Literally, I got my first ever on-campus job in my senior year.
Same.
Literally
I got
last
2
semester.
campus jobs in my senior year.
Literally,
I got my quant spear tutor job at the my junior year, spring semester. So you truly don't know when you would find an opportunity, but I think looking at your emails, the weekly career bulletin boards, and also the GUQ weekly, and seeing what types of jobs are there, whether it's peer tutoring in OAS, or you're in a department admissions or career services, or even being a research assistant to professors. Those really help to enrich you in your personal and academic experiences.
So just keep applying. Basically.
Keep applying.
And I know rejections are hard, and we've all got a bunch of rejections.
Yes.
But I think you have to keep applying.
Even if it takes you 4 years.
Yeah, because you never know.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have a question that I think this would be nice to ask. It says, I have 3 questions that are for GUQ seniors in general. What's one thing you wish you knew about GUQ as an incoming freshman? And then the second part of it, what clubs/organizations would you recommend to new students? And then the third, if there is one thing that you can change throughout your 4 years in GUQ, what would it be? Is there anything you wish you did more or something that you wish you didn't do at all? So go ahead, guys, take a jab at any one of the questions.
So I'd like to answer the first one, like what would I wanted to know about GUQ before coming? That we have free food. No, just kidding. The fact that people here, like, it's a very informal environment. Right? I thought that when we come here to Georgetown, it's going to be very professional. They're going to be strict. Of course, people are going to be strict about certain things, but this is the type of university where even though if you've not taken like a class with this professor, you could just say hi to them.
That's true.
Right? Whereas in other places, especially on one main campus, they wouldn't even like recognize you, or you wouldn't recognize them. Student life is here. They are not, I mean, sure, they might be in charge of like student discipline and so on, but it's very informal. Like you could come to their office and just express your concerns with them, right? And I wish I kind of leaned into that when I was a first year, simply because I thought everything was so professional that,
I agree. Same.
things like that.
I think to continue and answer the third question, something I wish I did was actually like go to office hours, talk to professors more. Just go step into their office and just start a conversation. Because at the end of your 4 years, what you remember the most is the connections you made, the people that you met, and all of those like networking opportunities. I know they're not networking. But like these people that you will always remember and you will look back at. So don't be shy to like just talk to anyone, honestly.
I had like notes written down for like stuff I want to say for this podcast, and a big chunk of it was building a family with like the different departments, getting to know your batch, like having a supportive community around you, meeting your professors. And that's exactly for like stuff that Natali has mentioned, that it's for career building, graduate applications, and like research assistant opportunities. So it's really nice to like get advantage of like the 4 years that you're gonna be here, get to know everyone, get to know the staff. You may never know when someone would become helpful to you. And I feel like this feeds on to something else that I do want to mention, that you should know, like protocol for like honor council and for your grades. Know like what are your rights. And I feel like that's something that like really we don't stress that enough, or maybe people would overlook it until they face a problem. And then they realize like how important this is. So
can I bring in an example that we talked about before?
Something about the honor council, just know they're not there to get you, they're actually there to help you. And I really like that the other week they had an event where they highlighted that stress could be a very big factor in like violating honor council rules. So they do acknowledge students, they do work with students, so they're not against you, they're not here to get you. So that's why you should build relationships with the people around you.
I would say I can add on to that. Like, I transferred from Qatar University before coming here, and there's no such thing as honor council. At least at the time I was there wasn't. We weren't even taught how to cite and do these things. So when I first came to Georgetown, I had no idea that there's such a thing as an honor council. We need to cite, we need to, have a bibliography. And my professors were very understanding, accommodating, and lenient with me. And I took it upon myself like to join the honor council from freshman year, and I'm still in it. And I would say, honestly, that's personally helped me a lot, because I learned a lot. Like, just like you said, they're not here to police you, they're here to teach you. And it's I would say like one advice I would probably have, like someone asked what clubs or whatever to join. Join the honor council. You learn a lot, and honestly, if you're looking for networking, it's one of the best forms of networking because you can also help your friends. Sometimes my friends, they come to me because they're scared to go and ask someone else, Zahra, how can I cite this? I'm scared I get honor counseled, or like I wrote this myself, but like when I put it in a AI detector, it's showing that it's fully AI, and I can give them like actual advice that we give as the honor council and not something I'm just speculating off the top of my head.
Yeah.
So I would say it's definitely like one of the most beneficial programs or clubs to be a part of. You learn so much and you can also teach so much. So yeah, the other club I would suggest is Brain Food. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it. Yeah, the first ever student-led club at Georgetown, and it's so cool. Like it's it's kind of like a legacy, and it's something very unique to the Doha campus that doesn't exist in the DC campus. It's basically you go out with a professor or a faculty or a staff in a very informal setting, which John adds on to your comment of this being very informal. You go, you have dinner, lunch, you talk, and the quote says, what happens in Brain Food stays at Brain Food. And it's actually that way. And I noticed after that, you see the students, like this year we've had a lot of freshmen. Like after we go to the events, I've seen them as like the organizer come and talk to the faculty or staff or professors that they never talked to before, and now they're registering for their classes. So that's also another form of networking we don't take into account because we're like, oh, this is just a fun free food event, but it's actually not, because when you're sitting at the table with the professor, you gain a lot, and they actually give you advice that they wouldn't give you in the classroom, or you might not interact with them much.
That's
So,
true.
yeah.
I want to answer two of the questions, and to add on to your point about like knowing your quote unquote rights. For me, like it comes with like grading. There was like a professor who was like, oh, he was very against changing my grade because he's like, oh, once it's in the system, it's in the system. When that's not the case. And I found out only 2 years later.
Yeah.
So knowing I could have like actually defended my point and maybe,
That's true.
yeah. So just, I think knowing those little things could help you in the
really
long run.
helpful.
And for clubs, I would recommend any athletics.
Athletics
is cool. I'm part of the basketball club. Zahra is part of football club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So athletics is really cool. We also have volleyball, so if you're interested. And yeah, what's up?
For me, I wanted to like chip in into my like honor counseling
Sorry, go ahead.
experience. My first year, I wrote a paper and I was writing it in the library, and then one professor messaged me directly and he's like, hey, let's meet about this. And at that time, I did not know the protocol, and I did not know that the professor, if he was suspecting you of an honor council violation, I did not know that like they weren't allowed to like message you first, that it goes through a system, and that if the professor violates it, then like it gets put on them. And so I wasn't aware of that. And so he basically just speculated that I had someone, that I bought my paper and had someone else write it for me. So when I told him that I have CCTV footage of me writing it in the library, he just started to get more and more mad about like, oh, do you know how serious this is? Do you know how And I'm like, yeah, but I have video proof of me sitting in the library going through books and writing stuff down. So I only knew the protocol like a semester after. So I do think like knowing your rights as a student, because you do have your rights, I do think that that's like really a priority. And even visiting your deans and getting to know them and getting to know their input on your situations, that is even more helpful to know like what you should be expecting and what's expected of you.
I agree.
Yes.
Should I go for the history questions? Yes. Okay. The history, there's 2 questions. Would you argue that IHIST is the best major at GEQ? Yes, I would argue. I think so. No, generally though, I think like the skills you learn in the IHIST major is like top tier skills. Like the critical analytical skills that you learn, I feel like is very different from the other majors. And I feel like the way you think about the world and the way you view the world is challenged and changed. So yeah, even if you're not planning to go into history major, I do recommend take as many history courses as you can, because when I'm in the class, like I just feel my brain expanding with knowledge. Like you just learn so much, and I really do like recommend them.
Yeah.
And a lot of people come up to me and they're always like, oh, I'm an IECO major, but I'm an IHIST at heart.
Yeah, that's
Or
true.
I'm something, but IHIST at heart. So if you come to Georgetown, you'll quickly realize the IHIST department is really, I think, unique. My words. Quote me on it.
Agree.
But we do have a lot of students who are like me, for example. Like I am IPOL, but everyone says that I am econ at heart. So a lot of students have like this like dynamic interaction between the two disciplines, but yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, that's why I feel like your major doesn't define you, but
Exactly.
you have your minors, your certificates, your extracurricular. Like Professor Firat the other day, when I told him I was IECO after 4 years, he's like, you? He's like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, all this time I thought you're like CULP because you're so like into the humanities and stuff. And then that's, I think every student at Georgetown is like this.
Yeah. But I feel like some place where like being like a dynamic student wouldn't work is for your honors thesis. So apparently I just found this out when I was applying and for my proposal. So you cannot have an interdisciplinary thesis proposal or like thesis that it should be focused within your major. So that's something that I found to be like quite interesting.
Unless if you're CULP, where it's inherently interdisciplinary and you build your own
that's
major.
true.
But
Yeah.
I think this goes well with the second question, which is about what made you choose IHIST despite the negative perception of the job market. Because very quickly, we're all graduating with a Bachelor's of Science of Foreign Service.
yeah.
So yeah, we're all different majors, but at the end of the day, it's one diploma, one degree. So it again, like it's kind of flexible in like as you're taking courses and as you're doing your minors and majors. But personally, I chose IHIST because in the future I wanted to do something related to law, and a lot of the deans recommended IHIST would be a good foundation for that.
That's true.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But I also wanna, how do I say, like, this, not like, there's a lot of people say, oh, you're IHIST major, you won't have a job. But I think that's just, I think that's a myth.
It's a stereotype.
Again, thank you.
Yeah.
Because we're, again, like, it's BSFS, and it's the way you cater yourself and the way you add all these extracurriculars and all these accessories to your diploma that make you who you are. Yeah,
that's true. Guys, I have one more question, and I think that this one is really important. So it's saying, what courses have been your all-time favorite during your time in GAQ, and why were they your favorite? Also, if there's any professors that really stood out to you and really shaped your experience at Georgetown. For me personally, like, to answer both questions, I would really say it's Professor Mehran Kamrava for me. I took 2 classes with him, international relations in the Middle East and Gulf politics. And I really enjoyed his perspectives, and he really wants to give the students much more time for them to develop. And he has a really good philosophy of like trying to like capture students when they are young and being able to like fully like shape their minds and like set them up for success, basically. To me, like, he's a very memorable professor, and I'll always be grateful for him and his input. And he's one of those professors that he doesn't like make you think that he is right about everything or that he has all the knowledge in the world. He allows for his students to add on to the conversation, or for example, if like laws were changed, if attitudes were changed. So he's not very rigid in like, I'm right, you are wrong, you listen to me, which I feel like some professors do have that attitude that like they are all knowing. it's nice to like be able to like bounce off of each other. With, of course, professors have a lot of respect. Like, of course, they are professors, they have more knowledge than us. But it's nice when there is like a conversation happening in class where we are learning from you and you are learning from us. Because at the end of the day, we're all learning about previous historical experiences, and it's really interesting to add in like a new contemporary approach.
Yeah. I mean, my advice is to take a lot of seminars. So they're mostly at the 300 and 400 level courses for juniors and seniors. And it's a bit hard because there's much more reading compared to the lower level classes. But do take at least some of them because their content is amazing. And it's the type of class where the professor basically just sits down and rather than lecturing, actually creates a conversation with you, right? One of the most like discussion intensive classes that I've had was a Doha seminar on popular mobilization in the Arab world with Professor Abdullah Al-Aryan and Professor Sami Hermes from NUQ, from Northwestern. And we would just sit there and we would read books when it came to the Arab uprisings of 2011, what's happening in Gaza right now. And we would sit there and we would just talk to each other. Of course, about the course content, but also about ways we could imagine things. Like, what would be different if I were there? Or how do we imagine a decolonial future for the Arab world, for example? And I felt like that these kinds of classes actually help me to retain the things that I have learned rather than just a lecture, because it's actually a conversation that I do remember. So take lots of seminar classes. I think like all my seminar classes, like all my classes this semester are seminars. So, and Georgetown.
For me, I'm kind of biased because my concentration is in the Middle East region, but definitely Middle East 1 and Middle East 2 were my favorite classes. And I took them in my first year or first 2 years. And I think it's such a good introductory history to the region. It really like changed the way I saw where I live and stuff. So I think that's really cool. And I definitely shout out to my favorite professor. I think I would say, there's so many. Wait, I can't choose.
List them all. List them all.
Right now, I think Professor Noha Abu Dahab. So slay. Professor Trish. Who else? Professor Zayani.
Muhammad Zayani. That's a good shout. Take media in the Middle East.
Yeah, that was fun.
Do take that.
Do take also Professor Noha teaches like law, international law. So if you're interested in those, I really recommend.
I think for me, ironically, my most favorite class was in DC. It was called Prisons and Punishment. So I got to visit a prison, and we were constantly interacting with prisoners or those who were recently released. I think that was my first exposure to real world. So that's why I really loved it. It was with Professor Mark Howard. So if you're ever studying abroad, I feel like that's one of the coolest classes you can take because it's not something I feel like you can do anywhere else. For Doha, I'm biased, but I would say History of Iran with Professor Walid Ziad or Foreign Policy of Iran with Professor Luciana Zakara. And I did really like the Greece Summer Symposium trip with Professor Raha Hakim Davar. And these are my favorite professors as well. And also shout out to Professor Koons. So, yeah.
That's really nice, yeah. I feel like should we shout out professors?
Shout out all professors.
Shout out all professors.
Just John had to leave.
So
we will continue the podcast.
Yeah, we miss you, John.
We miss you, John.
Guys, confessions?
Confession time.
Okay.
Before confession time, I just want to shout out Italy for study abroad.
Slay. Everyone forgets that. But actually, no, maybe after this semester, people aren't going to forget.
Then a question up next is about, did any of you go to Italy despite being an IECO or IPOL major? And if you're taking a language proficiency in Arabic and French, how did you manage to finish it? So I think more important to answer the first question. So from my experience is like I've heard that if you're IPOL or IECO, that it's better to go to DC. However, like I understand the situation with like Donald Trump being president and people being afraid to like go to DC. So maybe Italy like is a better choice like in Florence.
I know they are adding more courses that are econ, IPOL related.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the future
Yeah.
when you guys come in.
Yeah, so just so for your information, the campus in Italy is much smaller.
It's in
yeah.
Florence. It's like a villa.
It's a small villa, and the campus is in DC, of course. It's the main campus, and it has all the majors, all SFS, all minors. So if you want to start a minor that's not originally available in GUQ, you could start it there on main campus and then come back here and just take the electives for that course. Yeah. And then the language proficiency, everyone has to do a language proficiency.
What language did you guys do?
I did French.
I did my native tongue, Farsi.
Oh, that's nice. What did you do?
My native language is Arabic, but I still did
Yeah.
proficiency Arabic. So I had to take a few Arabic classes.
Yeah.
But it's manageable. Like there's so much support for it.
There's so much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
support.
tutors.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
And especially with the tutors, they do coffee hours. For example, we had French coffee hours on Sunday. And I know that Arabic also had coffee hours. And the thing is about being a small campus, you do see faculty in the atrium. You do see faculty in a lot of places. So we do have like more opportunity to talk to them. And we do also have the opportunity to talk to them in the language that we are trying to get a proficiency for. And yeah, it's really not that difficult. I need to put in effort into studying. You do need to plan ahead, but it's not something to worry about. Yeah, because I've been seeing a lot of questions about how do you deal with the crippling fear of the future, or like
You just don't think about it.
Yeah, you ignore it.
how
Push
do
it in the
you
back of your
avoid
mind.
Think of the now.
burnout?
Yeah.
Or like, well, what do you wish you changed about your freshman year? So yeah, I think definitely
It's
plan
normal.
ahead,
You
but
got
it's
it.
normal
You
to
get
get
college
stressed.
experience.
And it's
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
freshmen, so like I remember when we were freshies, we probably had the same questions.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
enjoy
It's
your
fun,
time.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely enjoy your time. Get to know people. Look at the courses where like they take you abroad. Look at, for example, like volunteering work. Like make time for those important stuff, and like take internships. Like there's a course about
Academic
the
internships,
academic
yeah.
internships, and you can apply to like different places, and then like further like develop yourself through those and include them on your CV, hopefully.
So do you guys want to do confessions?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Should we go around and read them?
Yes. So first one, DC was the best semester of my life.
Oh.
I agree. As someone who went to DC, it was.
Italy was the best semester.
Yeah, see?
Oh, this is such a fitting one for me.
Yeah.
I actually really like the Qataris in our batch, not gonna lie. They're very welcoming, most at least. I hope that I'm a welcoming person.
You are.
I think it's either a big misconception about Qataris, since like this is a bad thing like about our culture, that maybe we don't interact with people much more. But I have been seeing it in the younger batches that they do interact with foreigners more, and I wish that there were more programs that, or like events in within clubs that would allow for like more people to like interact and
Yeah.
integrate. But I do think like the younger and older generation, there is a difference.
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, class of 2025 is one of the most peaceful batches to be at GUQ.
That's true.
I agree. Like
all
there's
biased to
there's
that.
literally a question: how did your social interactions with your batch change throughout the years? I'm sure in freshman year we had our awkwardness, and
true.
like now, like with escape, with traveling together, with doing a bunch of trips together, you're just like, like you're family,
it's
like
chill
We
batch.
do
Yeah.
have like petty arguments on
We
the
do
WhatsApp
have-
group.
yeah,
but,
it's like
we
being
get over it.
siblings,
Yeah.
like
Big siblings do
yeah.
that. Yeah, that's true.
Zayn and Natalie are the best duo.
Ew.
I love Zayn.
There's a lot of Zayn confessions.
Lots of Zayn fans. The Fanik sisters.
Zayn is my sister, by the way, for people watching listening.
This one is both about professors. Professor Rosbach is cool, and I do agree that that man is very, very
He's
cool.
so chill.
Do definitely take classes with him. I've taken a class called Poverty, Growth, and Inequality, and that was just amazing. And I know that he's currently teaching a quantitative trade methods, and I really wish I took that class. Another one says Professor Trish is amazing. Unfortunately, I've never taken a class.
She's very...
I agree, she's amazing.
She got me to love history. She was my first history.
Nice.
Sure, yeah.
Professor Abu Sharaf should be the dean. Censorship got a bit too crazy. And then we got Dean Moot is everybody's therapist, and he knows it.
Yeah, I think he's every time you go to his office, like, oh, what now?
Yeah. I feel like the...
Period, yeah, shout out.
The number of free food events I crashed should be illegal.
I feel like that's so true. I still don't know how to print properly at the library. Me too.
That's
in the real, yeah.
I just got my laptop connected with IT. And then another one says, I didn't think I would find a second home here, but I did. I feel like a lot of people have a misconception about like how much uni could become your second home. So... yeah, it is a home. It is a big community. So
it's what you do with your time.
What you do with your time, who you socialize with. So do take advantage.
It's the coffee breaks and random hallway conversations I'll miss the most.
Yeah.
This is especially now, like we're graduating in 7 days.
Yeah,
That's
stop.
true. Yeah.
And then group projects taught me that some people are allergic to responsibility.
That's unfortunately very true.
Unfortunately, very true.
Oh, the campus won't be the same without Natali and Zayn. Please don't leave.
Talking about.
Thank you. They're the joy of our batch.
Honestly, genuinely.
Yeah.
Fanik sisters, let's go.
It's like, it should be a crime to be this cute Irshad.
This says Alana has such an amazing voice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss her hearing her sing. Also, a huge thank you to the Georgetown Choir. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they're gonna be
Choir.
singing at commencement in Tropea. First time ever.
Lovely
And
to
the
Baccalaureate Mass.
Baccalaureate
Yeah.
Mass.
I don't know how to
Yes,
pronounce that.
that's true.
Alana's making history.
Yes.
She is making.
Oh,
history.
okay. This is very fitting for the time now. I'm going to miss Dr. John Wright's smile.
Oh, that's true.
Me too.
Yeah.
He's also one of my favorite professors, if you count his class.
Yeah, that's true. You, me, and us.
Professor Walther is one of the most underrated professors. Everyone who told me not to take her class because of the rumors that she was scary, mean, and tough never took her class. I learned so much
that's
from
true.
her.
Period.
That's very true.
That's
But I never took her, though.
She's an amazing professor from what I've heard.
I think this is a good time to talk about how, like, sometimes other students tell you, oh, this professor is bad, this professor is strict.
They scare you off.
They scare you off, but then when you actually take the professor, you're like, oh, I don't even know what they were talking about.
True.
Yeah.
So really take your own experiences when you're making decisions.
That's literally what add and drop week is for, guys. Experiment.
Yes. Don't worry about it. You have ad drop. This says, I wish we could have more. Wish we could have senior summer classes for fun. I'm gonna miss this.
Yeah.
You could still be
I'm
a
good.
super
I'm ready
senior.
to.
Yeah, but I'm good. I'm done. I genuinely think our campus wins. We have the best merch. Speaking of merch in campus,
Compared to where? Like EC?
compared to EC,
Hell
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And you know what, guys? I cross-registered at CMU, and turns out that they don't even have a bookstore.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to get like a little memorabilia thing from there that like I took a course, I cross-registered, but then I found out that you have to win. And so everyone who has a CMU merch, like whether it's like a hoodie or a cap or a bag, they won a competition for that.
Yeah. I got accepted to CMU, and they, Georgetown gives you a huge goodie bag when you get in. None of the other universities ever did that.
So
Like,
for sure,
we're on
campus
top.
wins, our campus layout wins. Just to like prove my point. everyone from all other campuses comes to our campus.
Yeah,
So
period.
Yeah.
Northwestern, Texas,
Carnegie,
CMU,
yeah.
Cornell, VCU, they
All
all
here.
come. The students and the professors.
And we give out so much free merch.
Yeah, and for our events, they come as well. So just so you know, if you're coming here, you're coming to the right place. Hoya Saksa, everyone.
Oh yeah, Saksa and
Okay. Advice for future batches. I loved participating in the events like MUN and the NATO simulation. Even if you're scared, take that step, participate, join clubs. Yes, I can't agree more with this
I
one.
can't encourage it
Definitely.
enough.
Just put yourself out there. I know
Literally.
it's scary.
Yeah.
Just you gotta do it. You grow as a person also when you're doing it.
Literally.
As
And you
soon as
gain
you
new
see the emails,
experiences. Yeah,
apply.
just sign up. I signed up for the Greece summer class as a joke and I got in.
That's true.
And it's
Sign up for literally everything because you may never know what gets given to you.
I'll just one more. I never had the best of luck with friends, but in Georgetown I found my people, my chosen family, and I'm grateful for that.
I agree with that. I
really
agree.
agree with that. Also, this is a good time because my friends told me to shout them out.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Shout out Angelica, Hafsa, Arisha, Renad, and
Good,
Ruqayya. I
good,
love
good.
all of you.
I'll shout out my sister because she's always been with Zahra Fanik.
That's
I'll shout out my family, Anastasia and Rita. Thank you guys for a lovely, even though we met in DC, for a lovely 2 years.
lovely to meet
Yeah.
you.
This year's Georgetown Day was the best one yet. I think it was because it was our last.
Oh, but also the water fight.
Everyone
Yeah.
pulled up
Yeah.
this Georgetown Day. My first Georgetown Day, I was writing a paper and literally no one was outside. No one was in the atrium. So I'm really glad for the last Georgetown Day. All the batches were there and everyone was having fun. And a good thing about Georgetown is that the entire community is included. So the faculty, their children, the workers, the staff, like kitchen employees, and the cleaning employees, like they are all there. They can all participate. Like everyone who works under like the facilities, everyone gets to be there, and it's much more of a community. So that's what I'm really thankful about in Georgetown.
Same. So it's unreal how these years have flown by. I will miss you all so much. Georgetown isn't the same without the people in it. I
Thank
agree.
you.
Last, why do the good things always happen when we leave? I'm going to miss free food.
Is that the last
true.
one?
Honestly, yeah. Because I feel like first year, like we're just like getting to know each other, just getting to like a vibe of like the place. But then by second year, we like slowly solidify our friendships. And then later, like you get to know people more, you get to know the professors more, you really become comfortable and this becomes your home. And then after the 4 years, it's just like, when should you like go? But you need to let go so that you don't stay here with like a bitter memory of you trying to like fight yourself. Should I leave? Should I not? So learn when it's the right time to let go.
8.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Period.
that's true.
Thank you, guys. It was an honor to represent class of 2025
This
with
was
you
really fun,
guys.
guys.
This
Shout out
was
to
really
GQ
fun.
Speaks. and
Shout
Rimas.
out to
Thank you,
Rimas.
Rimas.
Thank you for making this happen and being patient.
Thank you. And for SCC.
And
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Senior
Good
class
luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of GQ Speaks. We hope you've gained valuable insights and inspirations from our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to follow us on our Instagram page at GQ_speaks and be sure to leave a review on Spotify to show your support.